Today, we're going to be looking at a Kickstarter campaign. Now, I know that may seem like a pretty big change of pace from what I usually do, but there are so many scams on Kickstarter and other crowdfunding sites that you really need to look at these from a critical, skeptical perspective, and I like to think that that's what I'm good at. So when I saw the Paqsule, I knew that I just had to cover it, because if it does what it says that it does, then it'll fucking kill you. Also, it doesn't do what it says it does, so without further ado, let's roll the intro.
We know that life can get a little smelly, so we've created a bag that cleans itself and anything you put inside it with the push of a button.
I know what you're thinking. Does this really work? I'm Hess Wesley, one of the creators of Paqsule, and I can assure you that this does work. We didn't invent this technology. NASA uses O3 to sterilize drinking water in space, and O3 has been used for years by professional sports teams, hospitals, and dry cleaners to remove odors and kill bacteria. What we've done is take that technology and make it compact enough to fit in a bag.
Okay, there's a lot to talk about with what they just said, but first things first, they're going to keep talking about O3, or in other places they will call it activated oxygen, but there's a more common term for that, and that is ozone. Which, if you don't know why that is a problem, here's the Nfpa diamond for ozone. You still probably don't know what you're looking at, so let me break it down for you. That red 0, that means that ozone is not in itself flammable at all, but there still is a fire hazard. I'll get to that later, but this blue 4, that means that it's pretty toxic. Or, more accurately, very short exposure could cause death or major residual injury. So if you get a good whiff of this stuff, then you are dead, or wishing you were. This yellow 4 means that it is very reactive, or, as Wikipedia puts it, readily capable of detonation or explosive decomposition at normal temperatures and pressures. So that means that ozone is a pretty good explosive. But that's not all. Look at this white OX. That means that it is an oxidizer, which means it allows chemicals to burn without an air supply. So basically, anything that you put into this bag, I hope that you don't like it very much, because all it takes is a small spark and the whole thing's up in flames, and also probably explodes. But they also talk about how ozone is used in certain applications, like NASA using it to purify water. Now, I'm not exactly sure how accurate this is, but ozone is actually pretty good at sterilizing water, and it's actually safe, as opposed to in air, because in water, you're not necessarily exposed to it as much. So the safety of using ozone to sterilize water isn't very comparable to its use in open air, as this bag would be. But they also talk about its use in dry cleaning. But this is kind of misleading. This is not the main or even a common mechanism within dry cleaning. The way dry cleaning works is that they use a chemical solvent other than water to clean your clothes. Basically, they have a fancy schmancy washing machine that doesn't have water but something else that works better for certain types of fabrics and stains. So yes, it's not technically dry because they're still probably using some sort of liquid, but it doesn't use water, and that's the point. But you can use ozone in dry cleaning, but it's pretty dangerous, and you have to use a very controlled environment. The amount of ozone that you need in order for it to be effective at disinfecting anything needs to be far greater than that of recommendations by a couple organizations. That means that if you do use ozone to sterilize anything in air, at least, then don't be in it. Now, that being said, the only information I could find about the use of ozone within dry cleaning are from sites that were trying to sell ozone generators. Now, I'm not sure about ozone's use in hospitals or by sports teams because I can't be bothered to research more of this. But there's far more to cover, so let's keep going.
And we've added UVC light, which is also used in hospitals to sterilize medical equipment. The O3 penetrates fabric to clean your clothes and shoes, and the UVC acts as an additional measure to sanitize exposed surfaces.
Okay, so you've added UVC lights, which are indeed germicidal. But are you aware that ozone absorbs UVC? Okay, maybe not at FDA regulation amounts, but the UVC light still wouldn't work very well, and here's why. See, when it's used in hospitals, you don't have equipment stacked on top of equipment, stacked on top of equipment with a small strip of LEDs at the top, as you would see in the Paqsule. That's because UVC only sterilizes what is within its line of sight. So since UV light doesn't pass through anything transparent, then it'll only sterilize the top of the bag and nothing underneath it. So if you put shoes at the bottom compartment of the bag but have a shirt on top of it, then the shoes are not getting sterilized at all.
That stinks.
Oh, that smells really bad.
Ugh.
Hey, that doesn't smell at all.
That's amazing. Are you kidding me?
Oh yes, breathe it in. Breathe in all of that ozone and embrace the inevitable respiratory problems that will ensue. I know that if there actually is ozone in this thing, then it does not smell fresh, because ozone has a strong smell. Or at least that's what the internet says. I wouldn't know, because I've never smelled it. And you can tell that I've never smelled it, because I'm not dead.
Our unit is rechargeable, getting 72 hours of cleaning power with each charge. There are no cartridges or filters to replace, and the unit will get over 17,000 uses. The cleaning process doesn't use harmful chemicals and is FDA approved.
Does not use harmful chemicals. That means that it does not use ozone. You said it uses ozone. Which one's true? And also you say that it is FDA approved, which, by the way, does not mean that this thing actually works. FDA approved just means that it's safe. But this alleged FDA approval adds even more complications, because according to this section for the Code of Federal Regulations, which the FDA uses for regulations, you see how that works, you cannot sell a device that releases ozone either within itself or into the atmosphere at a volume of greater than 0.05 parts per million, which, by the way, is about half of what would cause damage to plants and animals, like ourselves. But you also can't sell a device that produces it at a volume lower than that and is sold as a germicidal or deodorizer, which this is being sold as both. Now, that being said, I'm not exactly sure how to interpret this wording. And what I mean by that is you can't produce anything higher or lower than 0.05 parts per million. But maybe you could produce something that has exactly 0.05 parts per million? I'm not exactly sure. But even if it does, then it doesn't do anything at all. According to the Connecticut Department of Public Health, at FDA regulation amounts, ozone does not kill bacteria, viruses, mold, nor does it remove odors. Like I said before, you need a concentration much higher than that of recommendations by organizations like the EPA. But as far as the UVC lights, I couldn't find any sort of regulations for UVC lamps that are not for use on skin, as they are in tanning beds and that sort of thing. And it's arguable as to whether or not this UVC lamp could cause damage to skin or eyes if it was left open. But again, even if this does have UVC lamps, it probably doesn't work very well.
As travelers, we all know that airplanes are notoriously dirty places, and that's why Paqsule is the perfect travel companion. Because of Paqsule's self-cleaning features, you can kill airborne odors, bacteria, and viruses that your clothing comes in contact with while traveling. This enables you to extend the life of your clothes so you don't have to overpack, and allows you to skip baggage claims, saving you $50 per trip in checked luggage fees.
Okay, this claim doesn't even make any sense. It'll increase the lifespan of your clothing so you don't have to pack as much, so you don't have to go through baggage claim. Are you saying that this bag is a washing machine? Because I'm pretty sure you can find a laundromat wherever you're going. And for the reasons that I've spelled out before, if this was used as an alternative to a washing machine, it wouldn't work at all. But as far as skipping baggage claims, how does it do that? By being a carry-on? Because this is not the only bag that can be used as a carry-on. You can use a backpack or a duffel bag, as long as it's not too large. This is not the only carry-on bag.
With over 10 pockets and storage compartments, you can organize just about anything.
Okay, so it has a lot of compartments. That can be pretty useful. But that's just about the only useful thing about this bag. So I hope it's not expensive or anything.
$350. We spent hundreds of hours testing our cleaning system to tackle odors for good.
I highly doubt that, because if you actually did, and did any sort of research at all, you would know that using ozone and UVC would not accomplish that.
With your support, we'll be able to get our first order made. Fashionable, functional, and technology-driven, Paqsule is the smart, self-cleaning bag. Travel fresh, train fresh, be fresh with Paqsule.
Okay, so this is obviously not worth your money. It doesn't do what it says it does. And if it does, then it's not very effective at all. So, of course, people aren't going to fall for this. People aren't going to fund this, are they? Yes, they are. It only has 9 days left to go, even less whenever this video is uploaded. So I'm going to be following this project as closely as I can. So if something interesting pops up, I may cover it again. So moral of the story, don't back innovative projects on Kickstarter or other crowdfunding sites. And if you must, then make sure that not only the seller is reputable, but also that the product itself is actually feasible and legal. So for things like fidget cubes and fancy coins, yeah, that's definitely plausible, but a bag that connects to Bluetooth and cleans your clothes for you, not so much. Also, another thing to keep in mind is to make sure that this isn't the only product like this that is being sold. When I was looking through the Kickstarter projects to find one that was either pseudoscientific or obviously a scam like this one, I found so many items that I could just search up on Amazon and find something similar. And if you miss me talking about religion, then fear not. Tonight, when this video is uploaded, I'm going to be streaming Left Behind Eternal Forces, which is an evangelical Christian game about the end of the world. But it's not on this channel, it's on another channel, my gaming channel, if you will. I'll put a link in the description. Also, there will be something here, if I can remember to put it here, because I'm not very good at remembering things. So anyways, roll the outro.